Darkrai, the bringer of nightmares, and Cresselia, the only one known to be able to dispel these horrific visions this mythical Pokemon left in its wake. Their origin story is unknown to us, but is it really? Because there was once actually a legendary Pokemon that could wield the powers of Dream Energy, and its demise is what created both Darkrai and Cresselia. In the southeast of the Unova region lies an abandoned research facility known to us as the Dreamyard. This place was once used to research the powers behind Musharna's Dream Mist, but things didn't go as planned. Due to people's evil thoughts and desires surrounding the project, Musharna was corrupted and its Dream Mist turned black. This triggered an energy overload and a subsequent explosion that destroyed the whole facility alongside all of their research. It's in these abandoned ruins that we can meet with Fennel, Professor Juniper's colleague who specializes in dream research. After we rescued her Muna from a pair of Team Plasma grunts, she'll tell us an interesting detail about the Dream Mist that Musharna and its pre-evolution are able to create. I think I followed that. See, Musharna evolves from Muna, so seeing Muna in trouble, it used its power, making dreams into reality to save Muna. Let me repeat that last line. Making dreams into reality. Isn't that similar to a wish? Something that's mentioned many times throughout Pokemon's vast history as a catalyst for even the phenomenon dubbed as Mega Evolution? Yeah, it is. Somewhat anyway. To understand that, we need to go to a place deep within Unova's central region where a person who's very likely to be an ancestor of an old civilization resides. This place is known as the Entralink. At the epicenter of these ruins is a tree that spirals upwards in two distinct colors, black and white. This tree feeds on people's dreams, giving them something known as pass powers in return. The powers that it grants the Unovan people not only gives them increased luck or a higher chance to meet with rare Pokemon, but it also creates a positive feedback loop that allows for the tree to further grow in size, or used to anyway. Now the tree is but a small sapling that sticks out of the ground. Thankfully, due to the ancestors of the people that once lived here, we can learn about a way to restore the tree back to its original size. How? Well, that's actually done through fulfilling the wishes of other players by traveling to their worlds. Which brings up an interesting point, because it seems as though the Entralink thins the barrier between time and space. A point that would make quite a bit of sense to those who know about these two theories of mine. Anyway, now that the tree is back to its past size, it allows us to notice a few more details that directly connects it to Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem. Notice its upward spiraling design. That feature becomes even more interesting if you cross-reference it to a place where either one of the two Tau dragons were said to slumber. The oldest structure in Unova, the place called Dragon Spiral Tower. Of course, there is also the helix-like design, which, as you might have guessed, links it to Kyurem and the DNA splicers. The reason I mentioned all three of Unova's dragons here is because they were once known to be a single being. A being that's not known by name, only by title, the original dragon. But why would a tree connected to both Dream Energy as well as the original dragon be here? Well, let me propose to you another theory. What if this tree here is the last fragment of the original dragon's powers, the last remnant of its spirit? Just as Kyurem is the shell of the original dragon's physical form, this tree here is the shell of its powers. The shell that both Darkrai and Cresselia abandoned after the legendary Pokemon fell apart. Cresselia is often described as a Pokemon of peace and tranquility. Its feathers bring in pleasant dreams, and its very presence drives away nightmares. Opposite to Cresselia stands Darkrai, a Pokemon whose very existence creates those nightmares Cresselia dispels. It doesn't seek to harm others maliciously though. But either way, its aura warps dreams into horrific visions, and they consume everything around it. Did you notice something here? Both Cresselia and Darkrai do not generate dreams on their own. Cresselia heals and stabilizes the dreams of others, while Darkrai on the other hand destabilizes and corrupts the dream energy of others. Look at their powers in more detail, and I can guarantee you'll see a pretty stark similarity between these two Pokemon and the Unovan dragons. As we know, the original dragon represented both ideals and truth through these dreams. It was in balance, fragile, yes, but a balance nonetheless. The same can be said for Darkrai and Cresselia. Dreams are a way for us to process emotions and memories, but both nightmares as well as good dreams are needed for this process. Having too much of one wouldn't allow for proper recovery. This balance is also directly reinforced in both Unova's and, unsurprisingly, Sinnoh's lore. The strange house found near Reversal Mountain tell us the story of a girl who fell into an eternal sleep due to Darkrai's influence on the manor. One of the clues that lead us to this conclusion are the many books scattered around the house that contain information on various moves, abilities, and even remedies to bad dreams. One of the books, for example, talks about the move Dream Eater, which allows for a Pokemon to restore their HP based on how much damage they inflict on a target while they're asleep. But here's some food for thought. Why does eating dreams restore one Pokemon's HP while harming another? It's almost as though their life force is tied to this dream energy. Not all books here directly talk about dreams though. Another book's topic is the ability Forewarn, which is strange to say the least. Not only is it a pretty rare ability to have, with only the Drowsy, Munna, and Jinx lines having them, but it also doesn't solely affect sleeping Pokemon. It allows its user to be alerted of the opponent's strongest move ahead of time. I can understand Hypno and Musharna, since they wield a strong connection over dreams, but Jinx and Smoochum? These two Pokemon don't really have anything to do with dream powers, but they do have something else that ties them to the dream world. Take a look at Jinx Dex entry from Pokemon Snap. I've heard that Jinx can make all sorts of things happen just by wishing for them. We did see some odd occurrences in the Shiver Snowfields involving Jinx, so there may be some truth to this claim. There's the word wishing again. Remember how I tied Unova's dream energy to being that of wishes previously? Well, isn't there another Pokemon that has the power to create anything you wish for? A Pokemon that's known to sleep for 1,000 years before granting wishes for only a week. It's perhaps this extremely powerful connection to the dream world that allows for Jirachi to fulfill any wish you ask it to. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. And hey, while you're down there, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It might seem like a small action to some, but it's what allows me to always prioritize the quality of these videos. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's take a look at Sinnoh. They're found on opposing islands, Full Moon and New Moon Island. This particular location is really important to us, since it's here that we can hear a mysterious voice talk to Darkrai, and it says the following. Darkrai, your power is strong. Though you don't will it, you make people and Pokemon around you see terrible nightmares. That is why you came here, New Moon Island. There's no one but you here. There's no one that can be drawn into your nightmare. If anyone were to fall into a nightmare, the Full Moon Island is close by. It's never been told to us who exactly this voice is, but based on this theory, I'd like to say that it's the voice of the remaining original dragon's spirit comforting Darkrai in both its loneliness and its fear of drowning others in nightmares it never meant to create. The Black and White games actually introduced us to another mechanic, in which we ourselves could travel to the world of dreams. But it wasn't just a fun game mechanic, it actually tells us quite a lot about what I believe to once have been the original dragon's domain. Deep within the southern island found the Hoenn region, we can learn about how the dream world is actually a real dimension, similar to that of Giratina's distortion world, for example. All dreams are but another reality. Never forget. The island's map description is also rather interesting, as it tells us that it's surrounded by a mysterious veil that makes approaching it impossible for mere humans. So perhaps this island is a point between the realms of dreams and reality. But this description also begs the question of how we humans would be able to interact with the world of dreams. The answer to that is once again found in the Entralink. It's here that we can travel to the dream world using the sea gear developed by Fennel. But evidently, this technology wasn't always needed to travel to the world of dreams, as past civilizations have recorded their own experiences of traveling back and forth from there. So the connection between these two dimensions must have weakened. In the Entralink also stands a forest, that's fittingly called Untree Forest. Before it stands a girl that further reinforces the thought of it being another dimension. She tells us that the Entry Forest connects dreams and reality, with people even saying that dreams come true here. This is proven to be right, as we're actually able to take Pokemon from those dreams back into reality with us. In other words, the Entralink is a bridge, not only between dreams and reality, but between people's wishes and the Pokemon that respond to them. That all should sound very familiar, because isn't that exactly what Reshiram and Zekrom are described as doing? Appearing to those with strong convictions, helping them make their dreams, their truth, or their ideals into reality? Maybe this is why the Entralink was said to be the source of the special powers of Unova. Even the Pass Orb itself describes it as a mysterious orb containing the power of the Unova region, to be used when generating pass power. Could those special powers be fragments of the original dragon's energy, still flowing through Unova, responding to dreams? If so, then Darkrai and Cresselia may not be outliers at all, but natural byproducts of the dragon split. Their separation also caused the divide between dreams and reality. The Unovan dragons are rooted in Taoist concepts. Reshiram embodies yang, heat, light, daytime. Zekrom embodies yin, cold, night, darkness. And Kyurem represents Wuji, the void before duality. And the original dragon? Well, I believe it reflected Wu-Wei, or effortless action, and natural harmony where balance happens on its own, without force. Dreams are the perfect example of this. They just happen. They're the one space where truth and ideals can coexist. And when it split, that dream energy spilled into the world, leaving traces across all of Unova. And this can be seen by Pokemon who carry hidden abilities, powers unique to the dream world, yet some of these Pokemon also appear in the real world. For example, Zenmo Darmanitan are found near the Relic Castle, tied to the Twin Heroes War. At the Abyssal Ruins, Jellicent with their hidden ability appear on set days as well, as if drawn to the dragon's old domain. Could it be a coincidence that Pokemon affected by dream energy appear around the fragmented dragon's hideouts? Maybe, but I don't think so. Hidden grottos also shelter these Pokemon with hidden abilities. Abilities which are too strange for the surface world. It's as if they were forced to be transported here and have no way of returning back to the dream world. This is also further reinforced by the Pokemon in the grottos not being native to Unova, as though fragments of the dream world leaked into reality. Remember how I talked about the Dreamyard's mission to use this dream energy as a literal power source for their cities? This means that the dream energy isn't just something that is incorporeal, but instead something that can be harnessed and controlled by humans. This connects the Dreamist to the original dragon once more, because if we look a bit closer at both Reshiram and Zekrom, then we can see that they're also based on various methods that produce electricity. Their tails are based on an electrical turbine. Zekrom's glows blue, while Reshiram's glows red. Their signature moves are also clearly referencing nuclear fusion. Fusion Flare and Fusion Bolt can be used successively in order to double their strength, going from 100 to 200 base power. That, I think, is also a pretty good explanation of why the Dreamyard's experiment failed in the first place. The dream mist that they tried to harness wasn't whole. It was only a part of it, and they tried to, unintentionally mind you, combine both the black dream mist from Darkrai and the pink one from Cresselia. It rightfully exploded, as the shell that previously held these two in balance, the entry, wasn't whole anymore. But here's the part that sticks with me. If dream energy is still leaking into our world, does that mean the original dragon's spirit is still out there? Maybe not whole, but still watching, still comforting fragments of itself like Darkrai when no one else could. And if that's the case, then maybe Unova's story isn't finished. Maybe the dragon's dream isn't just over yet.